Hey everybody, so I recorded a nice 2 hour long episode and then realized that the audio went out. So I'm gonna do what I can to recreate it for you. This is Ying Hua and Brandon versus the Cartel in Compromised. It's gonna be kind of difficult. Things to know, Ying Hua, I was going through her story, so I'm on the second part of her story. And I've already gone through all of Brandon's stories, so I've got a couple upgraded cards. This shouldn't be anything too weird. Uh, Everything should be pretty standard as far as whatever you're going to play. I like the idea that if I play through a story completely, then I've earned those cards for the rest of the game, and I know a little bit more about those characters. Um, Jin is going to be one of the allies. That's from that's from Ying Hua's story, and that gives an imposter card and a separate setup card that you'll see a little bit later pop in, but it's just part of the normal setup. And otherwise, we're going to be looking at the compromise stage. I have not animated everything because it just takes way too long. So you can see I've got a different layout for the play areas. There I'm showing you the location of the setup card, where that's going to go. It has its own activations and exhausts and all that kind of stuff. So it sits in the play area, and it is controlled by me, the player, because it sits in the play area. I've also got separate areas set up for threats. I've got separate areas for the boss. I've got my token trays that you can print off if you want to do that, and all kinds of neat stuff. So I don't know why I just kept pointing at that card, but I did. Then was the the next card that was earned from the last mission that gives me Jin, and if Jin is defeated, then that goes away, and I have to just bring it back. But for right now, interrogations I can do with that. There's one. He's got his carbine rifle, and the compromise stage causes that particular card to sit in his play area. So it's going to activate when he does, not necessarily when the stage does. So got all that kind of laid out for you. Some other things to notice, I've got the pile sitting there of the guys ready to go, various colors, and I have chosen per the stage 2 of the objectives. There I'm showing you that I'm using the shotgun shells instead of power. Shotgun shells come with redemption pack. That part's up to you. Otherwise, everything has been set up. I've got my players. They're all tied together. I've got my loot crates. They're all there. And I've got my panda, Chan Chan, because I like the panda, sitting there, and he is attached to Brandon. Jin is attached to Ying Hua, and that should just make the whole thing come out gravy. All right, that's where my play cards are for the stage area. Then I'm showing again the areas. Those are threat areas I've assigned to space things out, and I'm going to use the turn card to try to tell you what turn I'm on, where I'm going, to give you a visual representation. Loot cards are ready to go. I've got all my tokens everywhere that they need to be. And if you want to play along, feel free to join in. If you want any of my card trays or anything like that, they're on Board Game Geek. In the file section, you can 3D print them yourself. I have got 2 variations. They fit pretty well. As you can see, I've color-coded them myself, so you don't have to wait for the Aftershock stretch goals to come in. You can just run a marker around the outside. And I've got the red ones for health, and I've got the blue ones for other stuff. First person I'm going to be using is Ying Hua. She is going to go first because I think it's going to affect Brandon a little more depending on her placement. I've got some strategies to consider as I'm moving throughout the map, and my first step will be to pull a card from the enemy deck, and that becomes a Tyrone, and he gets his tokens all set up. Popping those down. And this one was purple. It's going to go in the space closest to Ying Hua, so you can see that's happening right there. All right, so let's get started. We're going to move some people around. It is the first step, and that means I have to pull an enemy card, and I will do that in just a second. Oh, I already pulled the enemy card. So next step is to move. So I move next to the enemy, and I figure it's just going to be best to attack. I forgot to pull the 4 cards that I need for my hand, so I've got that all sorted out. And I'm looking, and I see I have one of my upgraded cards for Hunch ready to go. Let me give you a closer look of what that card's going to do, and I want to play that one for sure. As you can see here from the regular version even, it's going to reduce damage by 2, and in the upgraded version it doesn't have any caveats. You just, anytime you're going to be taking damage from a minion, you exhaust it, and it will reduce it by 2. The action, being able to draw a card and play a card, means that you can run 2 cards per round if that's what you choose. Ying Hua is one of the only folks that can do that can constantly swap to give extra card actions, so that part is pretty neat. And since she doesn't have any healing, then this card becomes very, very useful. Also, keeping that part in mind that there is no star on this card, so she can use it several times. Many of the things that she's going to do involve exhausting cards that she has control over, so throwing more tactics out that don't have an exhaust is going to help you quite a bit. So I ended up using her action to be able to play another card. So by using my action, I draw a card, and then I can play a card. But I also gain a power, so I throw that down in there. And the one that I'm going to want to play is another one of her tactic cards. This is Right to Remain Silent, and this is basically the whole strategy of everything I'm doing is going to revolve around Right to Remain Silent. As you can see, when you play this card, you gain defense tokens of your choice. You get to draw a card, which was really great. But the exhaust is really what is important. You're going to burn down the top of the enemy deck and possibly deal general damage depending on how many things are sitting of the same type in the enemy discard. Now, if you have a character like Juan who has some very powerful cards that only affect him, then burning through his deck is going to be very, very helpful, and it's something that you're going to need really to take care of, so that he doesn't jump around the board when you want to go punch him in the face. And getting rid of minions, as long as you're engaged, it's very, very helpful. You just got to keep that part in mind as you go through the rest of the board. Okay, so I'm explaining stuff and trying to figure out what it is that I'm going to do. I'm basically explaining the same thing, that Juan, he's very, very difficult to try to beat for a lot of the players. I tried to do it with Gabe and Ying Hua, it just didn't work at all. Just everybody needed to be too close. Brandon was a much better option because he has some ability to hit from distance, not reliably, but he's got something every time, and his ability to combo from cards in his hand once he charges is it becomes insane, because Ying Hua can put cards in his hand constantly, so he'll be set up. Lucille was the card that was discarded. I just went ahead and used Right to Remain Silent, even though nobody else was doing anything in the area. I should have done 1 direct damage to the enemy there, taking away one of his tokens, but not the end of the world. She did get put into the discard, so after the effect kicks in, she's in the discard. It's something that happens. All right, here I am rolling for it looks like, yeah, I got hit because I was in the react phase now, and our friendly Ignacio decided to beat me up. I mitigated that damage using Hunch, so I didn't have to take the 2 damage that I wasn't able to block, and I end my turn with taking another card and drawing another card. All right, so let's think about what I'm going to do next time, and then we're going to have to move on to Brandon. So here we go, and of course he's going to take his first card, which is also a Lucille, and that is going to go the green one right next to where he spawns. That's his closest spawn point. She is a problematic character in that if you don't keep her off the board, then she's going to constantly give stuff to. She's going to give damage tokens to the enemies around her. I forgot to tap Jin or exhaust Jin and move him so that he could remove tokens from Ignacio. I just cleared it up right there and redid the turn. Or we did the end of the turn, nothing else is really going to be affected. And if you do screw up, if you can fix it quickly, fix it. Otherwise, just keep moving on. The game is going to be, it's not going to affect you that much. You don't have to sit there and stress over, everything's got to be perfect. That's not a game. All right, now I got to decide on what card I'm going to put out there. I've got lots of stuff in my hand because I've been loading up my hand using other effects from Ying Hua. Anytime it says, you know, choose a fighter to be able to play or to draw a card. In the beginning, in this setup, it's really good to choose Brandon to draw as many cards as possible. And those are off of her exhausts that she's got. And whether her other functions are there. It looks really good right now to have. I've got 2 copies of Chameleon Stance. I'm going to play one of them. I had a gold version in my hand, and that allowed me to heal 2 damage on a combo effect. So I went ahead and played this Chameleon Stance, which is a starred card, and it will make it so that all of my attacks, as long as I don't exhaust it to use the other function, are +1. Then I went ahead and moved Brandon over to the loot, and I picked that up, and it turned out to be a Brass Knuckles, which is going to allow me to do a bonus to the attack. I'm trying to get close enough to Lucille to take her out, because if I can take her out, she's got very low health, then she's not going to stack up a bunch of extra tokens for damage mitigation for the enemies, because she does it to all enemies, which very, very quickly becomes a pain in the butt. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and strike. I'm going to throw away the or use up the Brass Knuckles, and that's going to give me a total of 4, because I've got the 2 from the regular, I've got 1 from Chameleon Stance, and the rest are from the Brass Knuckles. So it's a total of 4. So go ahead and shake it up. And I got a crit, so I'm going to set that aside. And because my regular punch, or my regular attack is a punch, the stuff I'm going to get, oh, another crit. The defense dice I'm going to get are all also punch tokens. So right now I've got 4 damage, I've got 2, I've got 5 damage, and that's going to give me 2 defense tokens. So that'll help me out quite a bit. And it is almost enough. Yeah, it's just not quite enough to take out Lucille. But if I go ahead and I look through the combo cards that are in my hand, you'll see I have, I think, Viper Jab. No, sorry, it was Nunchaku Grab. And what this is going to allow me to do is exhaust a minion engaged and gain a defense token of your choice from the minion. Since she only had the 1, I'm going to go ahead and exhaust her, which makes it so she can't attack, and that will help me out by taking defense away. So that being the case, it's going to make the rest of the turn a whole lot easier. I noticed it says reveal, so right now I reveal it. It's not in my hand, it's not in discard, it's not in anything else, and after it's done revealing, then it comes back in. So reveal is like a weird limbo space, and a few fighters use it, but it's mainly used by Brandon there. Then I have the Chanster, and I could go closer, but I'm going to change my mind, and I'm going to move closer to the rest of the crew, because Ying Hua needs the defense tokens more than Brandon does. Brandon will be able to pick those up for the most part on his own, just by pulling them off the enemies. Now, one of Chan Chan's abilities, as I'll bring up, is that once she moves, every single fighter within 3 space, and it says him. Maybe that's why I keep saying him. But if you look at the stories, Chan Chan is a girl, so whatever. Each fighter within 3 spaces of the bear is going to gain a random defense token. So you'll see me basically as I shake one of the enemy die, that tells me how to do a random defense, and I just kind of go around the board and drop them off. Chan Chan is a fighter within 3 spaces of themselves, so they get a token as well. Just keep that part in mind. If you're having any problems with defense, then you can always just throw Chan Chan in as an ally and take care of it from there. I probably didn't need as much defense as I gathered in this particular stage setup. I just like having the bear around. You can do whatever you want. There are dozens of allies that you can pick from. Feel free to utilize them to whatever extent you prefer, and the game is obviously easier with them, and you can throw in some more rivals if you want it to be harder. That part's up to you. Okay, that being the case, Juan is not engaged with anyone, and when he's not engaged, he gains 2 random defense tokens and then moves to try to unload his shotgun. So I'm figuring out right now who's going to be within 4 and what space I need to be in. And he moves up, and he is going to attack Jin. No, sorry, Brandon. He's going to attack Brandon. And the way we do that is just going to be general damage. You unload by moving a token off. They'll do that in a second. And the general damage is going to go first to the... see, they're moving the token. It's going to go first to Brandon's defense tokens. And after that, those convert to power, and then he'll take the other damage. So other things that can go on, Brandon's got a lot of healing in the combo. I don't really care if he takes any damage at this point, because he's just going to heal back up later. He can just tank away. As long as it doesn't take too much damage too quickly, if he can keep a healing card, then he's fine. Alright, so what are we looking at? We're seeing who's engaged with what. Okay. So there is stage cards, and the stages are going to pull the enemies towards the tokens, the objective tokens. And the point is that they're going to scare them. And whoa, where did that come from? I don't know. The point is that they're going to try to scare them. And the point for you is you're going to get rid of defense tokens, and you're going to try and keep them from getting scared. So right now, nobody's anywhere near anyone else. So we don't have to put any power or additional power onto the blue or yellow objective token. But when they activate after the bosses had their turn, then they're going to get power on their own. Here I am pointing out how they get power, how they flip. They flip from active to inactive when you do the interact, or they flip from inactive to active when you do the interact, and only then. So they are continuing to be scared, they're continuing to be inactive, and I had to put power on them. If you get anything more than 5 power in this mission on them, then they go away. And if the boss has more than 3 objectives on their card, then you lose. So you can lose 2 without losing the whole mission. Keep that in mind. There is also a separate mission for the story card, and that is the only one that actually matters. If you follow the rules, it says you have to exhaust and discard cards, but then if you have the informant, you can put it back into your hand. So that's how I was able to basically create a little engine to generate stuff. This card here is from the stage, and it says that the inactive tokens are going to move closer to the boss, which was not that big a deal. And I'll just get to discard it. Alright, then we're cleaning up. That goes into the discard, and it is time to pick some more enemies. Who am I going to choose to go first? Usually it's been Ying Hua, so we'll see in just a second. I take the card, I set it over on the hero side, and you'll see me tweak everything back to normal, so I'll know which stuff got exhausted. It's gonna happen, I swear. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move the card over to Ying Hua's side, so you can tell that she's the one that's gonna go first. Everybody resets when it is their turn. If you're gonna do simultaneous mode, you could reset simultaneously. But right now, I gotta pull a threat. I get another purple Ignacio. He does not start with any defense tokens, so if you can kick his butt real fast, then that is in your best interest before he starts loading up defense tokens. If he has any defense tokens on him, he gets ranged attacks in addition to his normal attacks, and you do not want that. So he'll do damage without rolling. He'll do direct damage, or sorry, he'll do general damage with his gun to things within 5 spaces. So I want to carefully consider some options of what I can do to get rid of him. So looking at my hand, I have another right to remain silent. I figure if I get close enough to that current Ignacio, I might be able to utilize. There, I got a soda can. I'll just use that right away. I think that gives me power. Or lets me draw a card. If I move close enough to him, then my hunch, or sorry, my right to remain silent will affect him because I have to be engaged with the target in order to do damage. With her, she is a hand-to-hand fighter for the most part. She has a couple of cards that will allow her to do range damage. And yeah, so I'm going to stack my second right to remain silent, and that's going to allow me to drill through the enemy deck as much as possible. When you play right to remain silent, you get extra cards and defense tokens, which is a nice thing to have. And all right, so I'm going to set the hand aside, and I'm going to go ahead and tweak that, and that'll allow me to burn a card. That is one of Juan's tactic cards, so he won't be able to use it. That was the first one I burned. The second one you burn, it is a Tyrone. Now, there are no other Tyrones in the pile except for the one, which means that you're still going to do at least 1 damage from right to remain silent. So the enemy I am currently engaged with is Ignacio, so Ignacio should take 1 damage, but I think I forgot the first couple steps to be able to do that. And I think, oh yeah, I use the ability on Hunch to be able to play another card. So instead of doing her regular attack, I'm making a decision as to play 1 more card. And the one I'm going to play, come on, make a decision. Yeah, so Hunch, I can play a card. And the one I'm going to pick is Long Arm of the Law. So this is an attack. It lets me target anyone in play, and I can exhaust up to 3 cards I control to gain +1. So it's 1 attack that I can go up to 4 dice. Now keeping in mind, I've got a lot of stuff here in my area, and not all of it says exhaust. But if it's in my play area, such as what I'm exhausting there, it counts. So even the setup card, even the perk card, all that kind of stuff, it counts as and my own card, own player card counts as something I can exhaust. So I get to roll for 4. I got a crit, so I have to roll 1 more. Blah da 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 da. And okay, so I have I hit for 3, and I gain 3. Long Arm of the Law is, I think, a punch attack. No, it was a grapple. So I gained 3 grapple tokens in addition to doing 3 damage against Tyrone, which is not enough to defeat him. Not enough. I was very disappointed. I really wanted to take him out, but it was not to be. I still have Hunch though. I still have Jin, and I'm gonna have to make some decisions as what to do with them. So Jin, at this point, I exhaust him. I move him around to get him a little closer so that he can benefit from Chan Chan's defensive abilities. And he just does straight general damage. And yeah, he's going to have to do it to Ignacio. Maybe I forgot to do it. It's possible. No, there we go. 3 general damage. Okay. Because Ignacio is going to get 3 random defense tokens every turn if he is at 0, you got to do damage when you can. Otherwise, it takes a lot to take him down, especially if you're using general damage, then it's never going to run down unless you can do 4 or more. So that is constantly a problem. Now, there's not a lot left to do in this circumstance because I've used up all my actions. I've got nobody left to exhaust. I'm going to have to let Tyrone attack me for 3. He is going to convert that over to power, and that will exhaust Hunch, and that will mitigate the damage from the minion. And that goes in the discard. And then Ignacio is going to have to do pretty much the same. So that's the next step. He attacks for 2. As he has no tokens on him, he's not going to do any weapon damage. He's only going to do regular hand-to-hand combat damage. So he's going to roll for 2, if I can do that. And he's going to do his attack. Okay, so that's a couple of kicks. And those are going directly to Jin because he didn't have any kick tokens. Which kind of sucks, but I'm not that worried about it just yet. He's also going to retreat 2. He has to retreat in a straight line, so he's going to do that. And that will be the end of this turn. I can go ahead and draw a card and go from there. What else am I doing? Oh, yeah, those are the random tokens. So at the end of his turn, he gains 3 random tokens because he didn't have any defense. So grab that card, and we'll move on to Brandon. Brandon's going to go through the same steps. He's going to draw his enemy card. Everybody's going to unexhaust. He picked up human shields. And here's the thing about human shields. If you do any damage, no matter how much damage you do, it's going to go away. It will reduce whatever attack you've done to 0. So you want to do a small attack that's just barely enough to make it through, and that'll make human shields go away. Otherwise, he's going to just start soaking up and picking up defense tokens from everywhere. So human shields is one of those things you want to get rid of fast. And in order to do fast, I'm going to have to get Brandon as close as possible to the boss and punch him in the face. At this point, the boss did not have any punch defense, and that's why I was going to use Brandon for that strategy, because Brandon does punch attacks, and with Chameleon Stance in play, he should be able to have enough extra bonus damage to break through and get rid of human shields. That's all I really wanted to do, was get rid of human shields. So you got to decide if you're going to do it with a card, if you're going to do it with a regular attack. Are you going to move? Are you going to use a card to move? That's the thing that's going through my brain right now. And I think I'm going to play something. Make a decision. Come on. You always want to use whatever weapons you've got that he has no defense against. So I think I'm going to use Flip Kick in order to get closer. And what Flip Kick allows you to do is just do a straight 2 damage, which would be enough to get rid of human shields, and then I can move from there. So the first thing I wanted to do was use my move, then I'm going to use Flip Kick, get rid of human shields, and I can resolve an effect in my discard pile, which I didn't really have much of at the current time. and then I could do attacks. So, I got extra damage, all that cool stuff. I think I forgot. Oh yeah, I think I forgot to do flip kicks damage. Or no, I just didn't play it yet. I walked down and I punched him, and I got the 2 for that. So if I did want to use flip kick, it would be to get closer to a different minion, or to get within range of the panda, so that I could pick up some of the defense tokens in the area. You know, you got to make a lot of decisions with Brandon as to what's in your hand, what you're going to keep in your hand, what you're going to finally play. Okay, so I made a decision. I'm going to use the ranged damage. I'll show you real quick here. On the Dragon's Teeth, this will allow me to move 2 spaces and then attack, so I can get closer to one of the other enemies that's out there. One thing that you might want to keep it in your hand is because it's one of the best ways to gain power consistently, and you know, you want to stay as much as possible with Brandon on his charge side, but at a certain point just throw it in the discard, and you can manipulate some cards out of the discard if you have to. So when you manipulate a combo effect, it allowed me to take some defense tokens away from someone I was engaged with, and that's what I did from the boss. Then I was able to move and use Dragon's Teeth for 3, and since it was an attack, it was going to become for 4. And what do I got? I got 3 damage and 2 defense, and that was against Lucille, which I think was enough to get rid of her. Yes, it was. So that takes out Lucille, so I don't have to worry about her generating stuff, defense tokens. I got Martial Arts Magazine, and I think I'm just going to use it right away. This gives 2 random defense tokens, so there's no reason to not have used it, especially that early in the game. Alright, so I'll go ahead and take those 2 defense, and we'll move on to whatever the next step is. I got a grapple and a kick. Okay. So I still haven't used the panda, and where things are spaced out, everyone's kind of far. I don't have to move the full amount of spaces. It says you can move up to 3, and then everything within 3 gives you you give them a set of defense tokens. So you got to really worry about where you're spacing that panda out. Chameleon Stance does have an exhaust. Let's look at that real quick. So it looks like I had a card where I wanted to resolve its combo effect, and that's why I went ahead and exhausted Chameleon Stance. I'd used up all my attacks, so it wasn't going to affect anything, and I wanted to heal some damage, and I had a second copy in my hand, so I just went ahead and discarded it back down, and I got to do the heal for 1. So that's a handy thing to have. Like I said, Brandon has self heals, and sometimes you can generate almost like a little healing engine to keep you going by just using the exhaust you can use every round, and picking up or discarding the correct cards depending on what you have in your hand. There's no hand limit size, so that makes him very effective. Alright, I've got lots of cool stuff going on. It looks like Chan Chan. Because Chan Chan does attacks, whatever the attacks were going to be, it didn't really matter. It was going to be enough to take out Tyrone, so I didn't really even bother with that. So I go ahead and pull a butterfly knife for the next attack, and that makes, I think, just about everything I can do on this side. Alright, and it's time to start thinking about what the boss is going to have. Oh, no. I needed to roll and give everybody their Chan defense tokens. So you'll see me do that real quick. Shake, 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 shake. Rolling around. And if you have Aftershock, Chan's part of that. Yeah, he does make things a lot easier. If you have the wrong combination of fighter, stage, and enemy deck, there's almost nothing you can do about it. It's going to be a tough slog, and it could be impossible depending on who you have. Ying Hua happens to make Juan a whole lot easier because she can get rid of his really bad getaway and like some of his other tactics. She can dump those off, and it makes things a lot easier. Probably would work with just about any boss, but you have to figure out how to mitigate her lack of healing. Boss time. So Juan, if he's engaged, he acts a little bit differently, and in this circumstance, he is no longer engaged. So he's going to gain those 2 random defense tokens, and then he's going to try to unload. He shot 1 already, so he's got 1 left in the chamber, and that's 4 general damage. So you can pick how you want to do those general damage off of your defense tokens, and it was just enough to flip over Brandon. When Brandon flips over, every card in your hand you handle the combo effect of. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but when we get down to it, he pulls off a lot of defense tokens from the minions and other enemies he's engaged with, and at the same time can do a couple of general damage, and if you have the right card in your hand, you can do some direct damage. Alright, so he didn't need to move anywhere. He just needed to figure out where he was going. We are onto the stage section, and the boss moves towards the inactive objectives. All enemies move towards inactive objectives in order to frighten them and put more power on them. And that's what happens. They get hit. More power. Power bad. Okay. Keeping in mind also, right now, Juan has nothing in the chamber. So now is the time to just beat the hell out of him as much as you can. If you had stay alert or on alert, one of the other cards where he might unload extra, now would be the time to hit him. Now we're up to 4 on each one of the scared staff. And they're going to be able to only last about 1 more turn. If you had 4 players in the game right now, you'd be really trying to defend yourself, but with just 2, that's not enough in play at this time to worry about. We have calming words, and this goes into the player play area, which means you control it. So that's another one I could exhaust if I needed to. It has some rules, and the person with the least amount of defense tokens gets it first, and that happened to be Brandon because he just defended against a shotgun blast. Okay, pointing at a lot of stuff. I don't remember what I was saying at this point. Alright, so the carbine, armored, all that kind of cool stuff. I think I need to draw a stage card. So let's see if I actually stop talking into it. I thought I had so much wisdom for you guys. I thought I was going to tell you so many cool tricks and stuff. But, yeah, I think I forgot to do that. I may have not pulled this. No, the Calming Words was a stage card. So we're back to just deciding that Ying Hua is going to go first. We have to unexhaust everybody. All her stuff. Move over into the leftmost spot, who is currently there, and we drop down another Tyrone. Okay, so this guy's going to be green. Give him all his defense tokens. Find the mini. It's a green one. There you go. Good job. And now we have to make some decisions as to what we're going to do. We are kind of in a corner. Jin's down there on the bottom, and he could help with Ignacio in purple, but does split people up, and we'll have to make some hard decisions on who we're willing to sacrifice if things get crazy. But right now we seem to only have a couple of minions on the field, and I think we can do something with them. I put out a new tactic, so let's take a look at what that tactic does. Observe and report. I can exhaust, and I can gain defense tokens and power if I want to. This is a really useful card in that if I have more of them in my hand, I can dump them for the ability to move, then rearrange the top of the enemy deck. And since that's useful with Ying Hua being able to do damage with whatever's left in the discard pile, that can be a very helpful situation depending on where you are in the enemy deck. So I went ahead and did that just so I can gain some stuff. And what am I looking at? Alright, so I have the opportunity to exhaust. I'm going to go for Tyrone. Okay. When you attack with the charge side of Ying Hua, look, I got a crit, so that part's cool. Then you have to go through and drop the top of the enemy deck, and if however many are in the discard pile, you get a bonus. So for her, I got a couple bonuses because Tyrone purple was the first one on the top, and that allowed me to do 4 damage, and I'm going to pick up 2 kick tokens. Ying Hua switches from grapple to kick when she flips to her charge side. So now I gotta flip her back to her regular side. So however you want to arrange your world, that part's up to you. Okay. So all that is calculated. And since he's got 1 of each of the tokens, when I do 4 damage, then he's going to take 3. And it's going to get rid of the kick token. Come on, quit talking and get rid of the kick token. Oh, you guys think it's bad listening to me this? This is the second time I've had to go through it. It took me 2 hours to record this thing. But yeah, you know. You requested it. It's here for you. Ying Hua. She's a fun one. So Jin, of course, we're going to move him down so that just he can get rid of the tokens that are on Ignacio, so he doesn't have the ability to do any extra damage. So there we go. And I mean, they're just going to go right back on him, but at least it'll get rid of the ranged attack. And since she is engaged, you can see on mine, I put those white circles for the good guys, for allies. Black circles are for bosses and rivals. And those are just the key fobs. Alright, so here we go. We're going to flip a card. Alright, that gets rid of one of his powers. Then we have the other one. Flip a card. Some Ignacios. Alright, Ignacio's going to take some general damage. Alright. So how many Ignacios do we have? I should have counted it on camera, but I didn't. Yeah, I'm looking to see if I have to be engaged or which one it is, or if it's minion. It's an engaged minion. Anyway, so it's going to do some damage to Mr. Ignacio there. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Tyrone there. think I forgot to get rid of that kick token. Oh, I made a decision. If there was general damage, to get rid of something that Brandon would be able to do more with on the next round, because he does punch damage. So I think I got rid of the punch token just to do punch damage, or so he'd be able to be defeated by Brandon with punch damage. And there we go. Ignacio, he's going to get his 3. We're on to the react phase. And oh, he's going to do his attack first. And he attacked Jin. And then it is Tyrone's turn to attack for 3. Okay, 1 of each. Oh, alright. Sorry, I confused myself. That was Juan getting hit, or Ignacio getting his random tokens back. Now it's time for Tyrone to attack for 3. And you got to make a decision. Who are you going to hit? Who's got the most to gain? You could either whittle down some of the panda, or you could start trying to flip some power for Ying Hua in this circumstance. I don't think I really needed to flip too much from Ying Hua, so I preferred to go ahead and let the panda get hit, I believe, on this one, because he just had so many tokens that you got to use them up, right? He doesn't gain power, so you got to just eventually use them up. All right, we continue. So the next thing I've got to start worrying about is the story mode. Now, story mode requires that I be that I can exhaust the story card only if I'm next to a damaged enemy. And it just so happens that Tyrone, Green Tyrone, is a damaged enemy. Now, if I put a card from my hand into the discard pile, I will be able to put a power onto the setup card. And then if I exhaust the informant, I can put a tactic card from the discard pile either into my hand or into play. So keeping this hunch card in my hand means that every round, as long as I'm next to someone, I'll be able to drop 1 power onto the discard. And it comes at the sacrifice of a defense token. I probably forgot a couple times to do that. And don't, yell and scream about that one way or another. I probably just forgot. But it didn't affect the outcome in any way, because at this point I am just gaining defense tokens like crazy, and it's not going to affect the outcome at all of this. When you do it, just remember to discard also a defense token. Might as well just use the power from your card, a defense token from your card, and that'll save you the remembering part. Oh man, do I have more stuff falling off the screen? No, those were just cards in my hand. I set up off screen. All right, now it is time for a Tyrone. This one's yellow, so it fits the color scheme of Brandon. All right, and yep, that was the closest place to put him. He gets 1 of each, because that's just the way he rolls. All right, so then Brandon's got to make some decisions what he's going to do with his big beefy 4 dice attack, and then all those combos. And you got to kind of sort of figure out the sequence when you have a bunch of cards in your hand. Some of them do damage, some of them do general damage, some of them peel away defense tokens from enemies. And if you don't peel the defense tokens away first, then do the general damage, then you're just wasting your time. So think about that. It's like if you're a martial artist and you have a bunch of combo moves you have to do, so if you do something in the wrong sequence, it's not going to help you out too much. Calming words wasn't a thing that I got confused by. I thought it would do something, and it doesn't. I thought, oh, it got rid of power in a helpful way. That's not what it does, and I correct myself. It actually tells you to move the scared staff around, and see, you see me putting it back together. At this point, I've made a decision. They're gonna die. It doesn't matter. They're gonna die. And I'm gonna just go ahead and set everything back to where it was previously at, and make some other decisions. See, sometimes I try to correct myself. Most of the time, what's the point? Just have fun. Don't. If you can remember it, remember it. If not, just do whatever it is that you want. I would have to interact. I would have to waste all these actions. There was no point to doing it. If this was a 3-player game, they'd be so screwed right now. This is going to be a way easier solo or with 2 players, just because there won't be as many active objectives on the board when you start. If you can move them to the Subway sandwich in the center and make them feel all nice and special inside, then you can get rid of them that way too. Alright, so Chan Chan is going to move and attack. I have her attacking Juan. So the boss does not have much in the way of defense tokens right now, so it was a good option to try to bleed some of those down, and I was able to get at least 1 hit off, which was nice. That was the first damage. Mauled by a panda. First damage on a cartel. Alright, and then I've got to go through and give everybody their random defense tokens for the people that are near her. I know, terribly exciting. I had so much to say when I was doing it, and now I'm just tired because it's been 4 hours of talking. You guys will forgive me though. It'll be okay. Trying not to give you too much dead air. Alright, so everybody's sorted. The panda has gone. Now we need to make some decisions for our martial artist. So he's going to potentially move. Is that what he's going to do? Yeah, he's going to move around and pick up the loot card and go back basically to where he was. And that is Molotov cocktail. So the way the Molotov cocktail works is you throw it and it explodes and hits everything adjacent to it. So you can throw for 3. You can hit yourself. You can hit your other guys in the room with you. So you really got to watch. On this one, it does general damage. So I had to kind of look and see who I might benefit the most from doing general damage to. And yeah, it takes me a while to make a decision. I believe I was going to go, I think I saved it. That's what I did. And I was going to try and peel off using the charged attack, peel off some of the defense tokens, since I had a lot of combo cards in my hands that will peel off defense tokens, and then use the general damage, because that would otherwise would just be wasted on defense, taking away those defense tokens I could have eliminated in a different way. And that's what I'm probably explaining. Alright, so I've got a big old handful of stuff. I used the butterfly knife, and that allowed me to roll for 6. So I had a nice big attack with a lot of defense tokens. So stack all those guys on there, and I have to flip the card back. It's going to flip again almost immediately because of how many defense tokens I've got and how much power I've already stacked up. At a certain point, you can just keep Brandon always on his charge side, and he just mauls everything. There he goes. It was a full attack, and now I have to go through all of my stuff and figure out how much damage I'm going to do. So that one adds power, this one adds movement, which I probably didn't want to do at the time, And the next one, it does a little bit of damage and it peels away defense tokens. So there it goes, takes the defense token and adds the damage. At this point, I'm starting to just get rid of singles, and there's a 5. And I was looking for anything else I could do. The boss is not a minion, so exhausting doesn't do much. And that was about it. That's all I could do at that point with that one attack. But I have other options. There's other stuff I could do. One of the cards, I believe, allowed me to do a direct damage against something. I'm not sure what happened, or maybe I had just forgotten. But I was able to take out the green guy. So, oh, Molotov cocktail. That's why I did it. I chucked it at him, and he was just in the space. So I moved it one space away from him, where all of my guys were clear of, and chucked the Molotov cocktail. And because it defeated him, I was able to pull another loot card. That loot card came with smoke bombs. Those smoke bombs have charges, so you use power to track the charges on it, and that will allow you to get some extra movement a little bit later if you choose. I don't think I ended up using it at that point, but hey, it's nice to have, and it otherwise would be free movement. You can get out of the way of a rocket or something later on. So those are all good things. Okay, what are we gonna do next? Oh, yeah, I gotta throw away all the stuff for Tyrone there. Okay, so he clears the board. And now he's back in the discard, so keeping in mind, it's something Ying Hua needs to use for all that fun stuff. And we're going to keep going. Alright, so now I've got to work on my own react phase. So that Tyrone's going to move closer, and then he's going to attack. The little half cup that I use for everything, I 3D printed that, so you know, that's I use for 3D printing. Alright, so again, I'm going to flip because of the 3 damage. And those power instantly go away. You don't have an option. You flip immediately. So he's going to use up 5 power. And then I think all that's left to do is draw a card. So we'll go ahead and draw a card and start moving our way. Is there still more stuff to do on him? I don't think so. Yeah, we're just drawing cards. And then we go back to the boss. Alright, so the boss, he's standing there in the middle of us. And that means he's not going to advance. It means he's engaged. He doesn't have anything in the chamber right now, so he's going to have to reload. He'll do a basic attack and then get a random defense token, because that's what the boss does. And then for his next trick, he will... Here's his basic attack. Okay. Then for his next trick, like I said, he'll just reload the gun. At this point, I mitigate the damage using Ying Hua, the hunch, and the upgraded hunch. And he's going to retreat so that he can blast away without theoretically being hit by us. Now, he does some stuff where he'll jump all the way across the board, and you're going to have to keep running after him. And that can make the game take hours. So I try to jump on him and punch him in the face as quickly as possible and burn down his cards so that he can't pull them. I think it took like 4 or 5 hours one time. I was trying to do a 4-player game with him. Oh, it was ridiculous. Alright, so everything's charged up. Now we have to go and deal with their activates. Those activates put a 5th unfortunate power. But armed intruders, that part doesn't discard the objective tokens until after. Or sorry, it only does it at the beginning, so you have a little bit of time. Calming words, we had another one pop in, so let's just call that my play area that's still within camera frame. That's where I placed that. And everything's done. I have to make another decision. It's going to be Ying Hua, because she's the one that needs to set the board up and figure out what Brandon's going to do. And he's the one that's going to unleash hell in a flurry of kung fu kicks and punches. So, set everything back up in on exhaust state. It's all ready. And put the card on, make it a little easier to see who's doing what. Pull Tyrone. Another red Tyrone. Okay, so he's going to pop in there. And alright, so looking at the cards I've got, I have another right to remain silent. So that's all 3 in play. And that means every turn I get to discard 3 cards off the top of the deck and hopefully do some extra damage. So I'm going to turn 1. That gets rid of 2 barrels to my face. Second one is an Ignacio. So those are the 2 I was going to use. And there was a couple Ignacios in the deck. And so that's going to do some damage to somebody engaged with me. It's general damage. So, you know, you just peel off things you think you're going to be able to do something with. And I might as well just go ahead and do a third, which is a seal. And all 3 Lucille's are sitting in there. So it's going to do 3 damage. So that's the last general one, and then some 2 extras. So that's pretty cool, right? When you start burning that deck down, it gets pretty powerful. Now there's 3 Lucille's, but there's 5 of the other 2, so that's kind of the limit you can get to, is 5 of each. With her anyway. And I'm going to go ahead and do the hunch trick. And as you can see, if you look on the back, you'll notice what it takes to win. You can call that a spoiler or not, that part's up to you. But I was just looking it up, and I need 4 power on that card in order to win. You win the scenario, you win the story separate from winning the scenario. If you didn't fulfill the scenario of the story objectives, then you'll go to the red side of the card. But even if you lose, then you could still progress through the green side. So that's how that part is set up. So there we go. We do the trick again. Put the power on. Keep in mind, I should be discarding a... there we go. I did it right this time. I discarded a defense token that time in order to pull that particular hunch card back into my hand, which I'll do. Okay. So it sets it up. Right now, you're just, as long as you can get through 4 turns, standing next to somebody, you'll be okay, and you'll win the scenario. So the idea is that you're interrogating them. So as long as they've got damage on them, theoretically, you're smacking them around, asking them for information. And so next decision, I know it's incredible. The smoke should be coming out of my ears at this point, with the amount of mental concentration that's taking place right now. Yeah, I was like, did the camera freeze? It did not. I was just making up, coming up with something. All right, so if I use the power on hunch again to be able to play more cards, that will allow me to apprehend, which might be enough to take out Tyrone. And I think that's what I'm going to try to do. So I put my power into hunch, the upgraded version, which, oh no, I'm gonna go ahead and use Jin first. And get rid of those tokens. I like to keep my token tray nice and neat at the time, just because it's easier to grab from. I know which one's the left, right, and middle. Alright, so what am I going to do? Okay, I finally made a decision. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to apprehend. Put the card down. You can do it. Put the card down. Play it. Play it. Yelling at myself. There we go. Okay. So one of the things that you can do, if I didn't apprehend, you could also fall back, and if you move everyone away from engagement using that card, the fallback card, then I'll show you real quick how it works. So I know I'm holding on to apprehend, but it's fallback that I'm probably looking for. You gain 2 defense tokens of your choice by falling back, and then you can deal an enemy within 3 spaces of you 2 direct damage. So that's what I was really concerned with, is being able to do an extra 2. I put my power, or I put my action into Hunch. That would let me draw the card. Now I'm making some other decisions because I pulled this Phoenix Tail, and maybe I'm going to change my mind as what to play. But really, at this point, I should be looking at that fallback. But I have to pull everyone, all of my guys, in order to make it work. So here I'm counting the spaces. Figure out where I need to go. So, yeah, see? See it underneath there? It's gonna happen. There we go. Fall back. So let's move everybody around so that they're no longer within engagement of any of the enemies, and I can drop a couple of direct damage down. I think I'm going to do it to Ignacio because I miscounted. But, you know, just doing a little bit of extra damage to him isn't that bad a deal, as he's such a difficult person to do that to. Everyone's going to get some of their choice. Like, just kind of keep things even. Made everybody happy. Made everyone feel defended and secure. And now I'm figuring out my target. So, yeah. Since Ignacio's health is 6, I'm in a bad way. But, you know what? Just do it. Oh, no. Did I do it to Tyrone? I popped Tyrone. I probably should have done it, the damage to Ignacio. But that's, you know, here nor there. I didn't do it that way. Okay, so back looking at observe and report. If I wanted to pick up some more defense and power and all that cool stuff, which I might as well. No loss to it. And that's it. It's time to react, I think. Let's see what happens. So we have to move Ignacio and get him within range. So he'll move up because he's advancing, and he'll do his attack. And his normal attack, I believe, is for 2. Okay, so he did a couple damage there. Might as well just put it on Jin. He'll get it back in a minute. He's tough. He can handle it. And so then he should have also retreated. But first he's going to get his defense tokens. The retreat, like I said, is not really going to affect anything. It's inconsequential. So I just moved over to Tyrone. If you want in the future, just, you know, he's going to retreat as well. Tyrone, he's going to attack. he's going to hit the panda because the panda was closest. And I will block, I think. No. She's got enough. Tokens to block everything, I think. No. He took 1 damage. She's a big giant panda bear. She can handle it. Okay. And alright. So move down to Brandon. Everybody unexhausted. Back to figuring out what we're going to do here. I need to pull I gotta end this step with drawing a card. I need to pull a threat card. So let's see what the next one's going to be. And if I remember it was a yellow Ignacio. All the yellow sides, all together. Okay. So I had quite a grouping going on right there. I have to figure out what we're going to do. Alright, so I'm close to the boss. The boss is close to getting the objectives. There's a lot going on at this time. Just looking at the map, you don't want there to be too many minions to go through. But I have the ability to hit a lot of people around me, and especially if they're engaged with me, pull off all their defense. So first thing was the panda was able to finish off Tyrone, which gave me another. There was a shuriken. I tossed that thing at somebody. I use it right away. So let's see if I use it. Okay, there it goes. I toss it at Tyrone, I think. Yeah, so here it goes. Throw it away. And stick that damage. Yeah, okay, so that got him a little bit closer. No, that was a purple Ignacio, so got him a little closer. Alright. Next steps. What do we got? Still got a full turn basically to go through. Count how many spaces I need. And that will put me in engagement range of the new guy. And I should be able to peel some damage away from him by doing my basic charged attack. So let's see what happens here. Alright, so after throwing everything in, I had 4. I got a crit. Shake it, shake it, shake it. And there we go. So that is 4 damage and 3 defense tokens. So throw those 3 punch tokens there. Stack them all up real good. Flip my card back temporarily. And do that damage to... There we go. Mr. Ignacio. Wish it was more. Wish I could have busted him up better, but it is what it is. Let's see if I can get any extra damage done to him with what I've got in my hand. I don't need the extra movement. This one should pull some tokens away, and it just happens to do 1 extra damage. And what else do I have in my hand? There we go. 1 more. That will allow me to do him in. So many combo moves. Pull another loot card. Energy drinks. They give you power? Yeah. And so that should allow me to flip my card or get very, very, very close to it. So the further you get into the game, the more stuff you have, the easier it's going to be to flip and stay flipped. And you're going to have to make some serious decisions. You're going to have to actually take damage once in a while, just to prevent yourself from flipping, because at a certain point the regular non-charged side is going to be a little more useful. It just depends entirely on the situation. So like Ying Hua switches from grapple to kick. Maybe you don't want to be grappling, or you don't want to be kicking yet, so you want to maintain a grapple, so you do everything you can to take damage and not flip. All those are possible things. Throwing down different ideas, stuff I could play, and yeah, I've got a lot of options, got a lot of things in my hand. There should only be 3 of each card, so you know, you're not sure what you're gonna play. Oh, I'm gonna play the glare game. What did I put down? Give me 1 second. So what I'm playing right now is Bite Back. This basically is going to give me the ability to have the ability to resolve combos and reduce damage. Since it's in the discard pile, I think I had one with a heal or something in the discard pile. If you were to have to get rid of your card for whatever reason, then you can just play it from there. Yes, it was doing a general damage, but I had a bunch of other stuff in my hand, and you know, sometimes just having 1 or 2 maintained in your hand is cool, and then put the rest of the tactics out and you know, make use out of them. They're supposed to be good, right? So here I am mitigating the damage done to our lovable panda. But I was only able to stop 2 of them, and he took 3. She took 3. It's a very confused panda. Then we have our boss's turn. They have a full complement of shotgun shells to hit us with, which is not cool, but they are currently engaged, and they're going to do a couple damage. No, so sorry, they were not engaged, so they are going to get some random defense tokens, and then they're going to move within range to shoot us in the face, because that is what Juan does with his nasty shotgun. We need to decide who is best to take damage. At this point, might as well just always be Brandon, because he will be a monster constantly charged up with the flames of martial fury. So that's him. Yeah. Okay, then we're gonna go to the next thing. I did something with Bite Back. I wanted to be able to fire off something from the discard pile, and I don't know what it is that I wanted to do, but I wanted to do it. Okay, so at this point, I should have only taken 1 down at a time and then waited for the next turn, but I wasn't. It's late. I work hard. I'm tired, and I just took all of them out. So sorry about that, but you know, now I get a second chance to tell you what it could have been. It will have 0 effect on the outcome of this game because yeah, it's just not going to do much. And we're pulling another card, Calming Words. Doesn't do much of anything at this point. Just throw another card into your pile. It doesn't have a star on it, so I just stacked it up there. And then it's on to another turn of the good guys. So I choose Ying Hua to go first. She's got lots of stuff going on. She's got to pull herself a card. And we got a green Ignacio. You know, the original nachos were made by a guy named Ignacio, because his nickname was Nacho. Yep. Happened in a hotel, I believe, in San Diego. And now we have delicious nachos. Delicious nachos. Alright, so I'm going to move around, try and set myself up with Jin, more likely than not. You know what I'm thinking about? Yep. I want to get rid of whatever tokens I can, keep getting rid of that ranged attack, and then I have Ying Hua also in the area. And she's going to burn down some cards. Now, here we are. We ran out of cards. So we have to shuffle again. Now she is at her weakest. She was at her strongest 2 cards ago. But now we start over. We got 1 left to go to throw into a discard pile. So there we go. Everything's exhausted. And we have Tyrone. So she can still do 1 damage as a result of that, because there's 1 item in the discard pile. It's never like you're losing. Never like it'll do nothing. It's just a matter of what's it going to do and when. So that one on Ignacio just happened to be the 1 necessary to kill him. So he's out, and we'll pick a loot card. That one is a smoke bomb or a flashbang grenade. Flashbangs help you get rid of defense tokens off of an enemy. Alright, so Nacho there. Nacho Mama. Doesn't have any damage on him yet. And I still have the ability to play cards and attack. So I'm looking for a card to mess him up with. And which one am I going to choose? I'm going to choose Phoenix Tail. Right? Come on, make a decision. Staring at it. Oh, no. Alright, I'm going back. Trying to count. I think it's going to be Phoenix Tail. It looks like I'm still thinking about it. I'm going to end up using Observe and Report and being able to pick up some stuff. And then I'm going to do, from the look of it, maybe a basic attack. Okay, so I know I want to do the Phoenix Tail, but I don't want to do it necessarily in the order just yet. I think it's because I was afraid that they might have some defense tokens. And I wanted to burn through some other stuff. So first one was Observe and Report. And I don't know what I'm rolling for. I think I'm rolling for some random defense tokens. No? Okay. I just went ahead and I did a basic attack against Ignacio. And then that was enough to damage him, which let me do my other trick to get Hunchback and to put the power tokens all into the story card. I only have 1 more left to do that way, so that part's cool. And then I'm going to throw out the Phoenix Tail, right? Isn't that what I'm going to do? I'm trying to explain how story cards work. It's probably what I'm actually doing at this point. Do some magic and cross dissolve that, set it down. And we have the Phoenix Tail coming up, and then this is going to have an attack within 5 spaces. So I've got quite a range on this, as it's an ability. Sometimes abilities just do damage. This will also allow me to exhaust 3 cards I control in order to bump the attack. And I just happen to have a couple of cards left under my control. So you'll see me turn those cards in just a second. That'll be 3 cards. And it'll be an attack for 5. Okay. So that's my basic 2 die. And 1, 2, 3. So they're all in my control. And I'll take the other 3 dice that I need. Pop them in the cup. Let's see what happens. Shake, shake, shake. All right. No crits. But I did get 3 defense tokens, and I'm going to do 3 damage. So, down to 1. 1 life left on that Ignacio. But there's not a lot left I can do. So just have to discard good old Phoenix Tail and see what's left. Okay. Now, when you do it, you get to move anywhere adjacent. So I just moved to the other side, and that just puts me closer to the panda. And the warming, loving hugs of a panda that are keeping us all flush with defense tokens. Alright, now he's going to attack. Okay, so that's a grapple and a kick. And that was enough, I believe, to flip, which is what I'm doing right now. So, yeah. So on her next round, she'll be able to do something. All right. So he's going to have to gain 3 random defense tokens as part of his world. If I don't forget, yeah, he's going to retreat and come on, don't forget the defense tokens. There you go. There you go. Okay, so now Ignacio is all fired up. He's all defended up. He's ready for the next round. And the next round, though, belongs to Brandon, because I got nothing left on Ying Hua to do except draw a card. Okay, and yeah, should have moved that card over to make things easy. Move it over now, not the end of the world. Then set things up. Give it some type of strategy explanation, but I don't know exactly what I was talking about at that point, other than keep drawing. Have to pull 1 of each for a green Tyrone. And okay. Decisions. What am I going to do with this panda? I'm going to unexhaust. And then I have to start making some progress on Juan. But I just have so many minions out right now that it's kind of difficult. So I need to clear something up in that one area. And let's see where I go. Alright, so this is a panda time. Did 2 damage to Mr. Tyrone there. And then what? Okay. Now I'm going to start giving everybody their defense tokens. Alright. Keep on shaking. Is that it? And nope, we got a couple more. Just to keep it all legitimate. And there's 1 left. Yeah, because we were all within range. No, I think I got everybody. All right. Then I need to make some other decisions as to what to do. So Brandon is still kind of in the thick of things. It's still to our benefit if he stays within exhaust range. And it's possible we might want to put some cards down, but still keeping things in his hand seems to be the best way to go. do have another one of those big ranged attacks available. Just a matter of how we want to play things. Alright, so we have Nunchaku Grab. We have a bunch of these in our hand, so we may want to just go ahead and play that. Let's show you what that does. I'm obviously thinking about exhausting some minions, and that's the only reason why you would use this at this point. The combo effect also lets you do it, or maybe I just wanted some extra attacks to be able to knock some folks down. So those are all options I threw out on the table. But first, it looks like what I wanted to do is just the basic attack and use the Nunchaku Grab to exhaust whoever was still around. So I got a whole bunch of defense tokens on that one. Looks like I hit for 4. And who did I hit? I hit Tyrone. And that will also allow me to, as I said, peel some more defense tokens away, because I just have a handful of things that take defense tokens away. And once I've taken the defense tokens, then I can go to the other stuff that deals damage. And those damage were just enough to take out Tyrone. So he's gone. What did I pull this time? Cash. Instant exhaustion of enemies. You bribe them, be like, hey man, look the other way real quick, and throw cash at them. So I believe that's what I do with, yeah. No reason to hold on, just spend it. Throw it at the enemies. There you go. Make it rain, baby. Make it rain. Alright. So what's our next step? Our next step, I don't think we needed to exhaust anything, and everybody else is good, so I think we're just going to go straight into drawing a card and go into the boss. So everybody else is done. Yeah, so there's the draw of the card, and the boss is going to start taking some steps. He's way out there, but he's going to want to shotgun us down. Who's he next to? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, he's getting defense tokens. So he's going to shotgun. Who is a good one to take it this time? A lot of people have defense tokens, but Brandon, obviously, in order to keep him flipping, you want to do as much as you can to keep him on that side. So the idea being to hit him, and so that gets rid of that. I think what I forgot to do is I forgot to move the power off of him on the last one, on the last attack I did, and that's why I was making the adjustment. But he was able to defend against the shotgun on this one. And since there's nothing else to do, the stage turns pointless at this point, so just pull a stage card. Stage card didn't really have much of an effect because there was no active tokens on the board or inactive ones or anything, so just kind of move on to the next step. Throw that in the discard, grab yourself a turn card, and reset Ying Hua. So that's where we're at. Okay. She's almost got everything she needs for that story. I think on this turn, the story is going to be completely done. Okay. Everybody's reset. Gin time, so he's going to go ahead and knock out that range attack. I should have pulled the card, so there I did. So the card I pulled is on alert, and that means that when I get within engagement range of Juan, he's going to blast me in the face with a shotgun, pop back, and probably reload. So this is something that I really want to avoid happening in the wrong way, but it's not the end of the world. All right, so I'm going to start moving people towards the boss. At this point, we want to kind of gang up on him, and there's only one minion per, and here's our trick. And so that is complete. We no longer need the power on there because all the power has been resolved. So what I'm going to end up doing is just flipping the card over for me to remember, but it's still in active play. It hasn't been removed from the game, so nothing's been removed yet. Yeah, and we're all square. And that'll allow me to put the hunch down, and I can use that hunch for the powering up of the other cards that require you to do exhaust something that's not or that you own or that you control, right? Okay, so just thinking about my card step's done. I could play another card if I use my action on hunch. That is just one of my considerations. Let's look at those cards again. Alright, yeah, let's do some free damage. Okay, so free damage against Tyrone, so there's a couple there. And there we go. And we'll pull another card. Oh, okay, so Getaway. That's one of the ones I hate that Juan's got. And another Tyrone. So there's a couple of them at the bottom there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be enough to take him out. Yep. So that's all the Tyrones in there. And pull another blue card. Turkey dinner. That turkey dinner is the only way for Ying Hua to heal. So, I mean on her own at least. So we're going to keep that on her. We have a flashbang grenade. We could use that to pull some stuff off the boss. I haven't quite decided yet. Now, the hunch card that was played, because of the informant, it was put directly into play from the discard. It didn't actually go into my hand. So I still have one card left, and that was the Phoenix Tail. And because of that, I went and exhausted the 3 cards to power up the Phoenix Tail, which will bring me into proximity with Juan over there and set off on alert. Yeah. So the attack is a ranged attack, and it moves me over to the other side of him. So once the movement happens at the end, then he does on alert. So So he's going to jump back. And he's trying to get away from Ying Hua. So his retreat ended up going towards the other folks. But he was trying to get away from Ying Hua. That's the way he's set up. And since he doesn't have anything in his gun at the time, he can't shoot me. So that part was fun. And he got some random defense tokens because of on alert. So there we go. Then we have Mr. Nacho Ignacio. He's going to gain his 3 random defense tokens after he attacks. I guess I moved as part of my remaining move steps to be able to go back after the boss. Do I still have a regular attack? I think I do. I think I still have a regular attack. So, since I still have that regular attack, I need to power it up any way I can. But it powers up by being next to a minion. I'm going to show you real quick. So even though I don't have a minion in my area in order to share the name of the enemy in the discard pile, I will get to play 1 card after this attack, and that's really what I'm going for. So, got to pull another one out of my hand here. Okay, so the attack itself did a couple damage, and there you go. So I picked up some other cool stuff. We're starting to do some damage to the boss finally. We'll see how fast that picks up in just a second. Got to flip back to the regular side. There's a lot going on the table now. And then let's make some decisions. We can either apprehend or we can do another tail kick. So apprehend, maybe if there were more minions on the board. And tail kick, I don't know. I guess we're gonna go with apprehend and see what it allows me to do. It's gonna let me draw a card. That part's cool. But the main thing it's gonna be able to do is continue to discard and allow me to draw and do another attack. So that's the main function of what's going on right now. And since I was already hitting on the boss, I might as well continue that trend. So that's 2 more damage, and I'll trade out some tokens. Ooh, starting to give some 10s. Ah, fancy. Alright, do a little house cleaning there. Okay, Ying Hua, not a whole lot left for you to do, except to put some stuff away. So, those are all the discards. It should be our react phase now. And that is going to be Ignacio's turn. So grab me some white dice. He's going to hit for 2. And he will hit Jin. And then he's going to gather his own 3 randoms. Correct? Yes. Ah, no, I'm going to mitigate one of the damages to Jin there. So that should make things a little easier. You know, if he goes away, then I'm going to lose my informant ability. I don't want to do that. I want to keep all the perks in play as much as possible. I think here I'm explaining about the turkey dinner, how it doesn't heal allies. It only heals fighters. So just keep that part in mind. The allies cannot use loot cards. And since it says to heal you, I mean specifically that whoever holds the loot card is going to be the one that has it. At some point, I'm going to remember to roll for Ignacio's tokens. It's just not this second. It's going to happen though. So we got another blue Ignacio. Or another Ignacio, this time blue. And then we need to figure out what we're going to do with them. I could hit him. I could try to do more damage to the boss. We're all kind of like stuck together. At the point I'm at right now, I think I was going to try to do a full-on Bruce Lee combo where I would attack the boss and then use the other combo abilities to whittle down Ignacio. Right now, we're just going to go ahead and panda time it. And that will make him a little more vulnerable for the attacks from Brandon himself. I need to give up some random defense tokens. And I think the Aftershock version of Chan Chan as a stretch goal also has a lot of defense tokens generated. So at least it stays thematic. Pandas are no joke, man. They will mess you up. They are bears. Bears are not a joke, no matter how cuddly they look. And they all look cuddly. Alright, so that finishes that one off. Now I'm going to do... I'm going to have to make the decisions of whether or not I'm going to use a card to attack. Probably should just use my basic attack first. I have Chameleon Stance, so I add +1, so it's 3 + 1 is 4. See what happens. There did 4 damage. And I gained a punch token. Swap a 1 for a 5. Those are actually 10s. So I'm at 20, I think. 20 damage out of 36. Exciting. We're almost to the 25. So now I need to roll through all my cards. That's what I'm doing off camera right now because I leaned back to be able to see everything. I got them in frame now. And I'm going to exhaust the minion because they're next to me. And then I'm going to use these other thingies. Yeah, move them off because now I'm switched back to the charged side, or the uncharged side. And I've still got the ability with the other combos to deal some damage. So that one deals, gives me a power. So that part's cool. Happens to be enough to flip me back over. So we'll utilize that later. Okay, gotta pull stuff away. And then I'm gonna do some more damage because of Viper Jab. And I'm gonna go ahead and use those on the boss because I can. Alright, so now all that basic housekeeping, unless I wanted to move, which I don't really want to do. I'm on top of the boss right now. I'm able to maintain domination on the minions that are around me right now because of Nunchaku Grab and it being in my hand, so I'm not really worried about too many things. At this point, it's just a matter of how much damage can I do to the boss at a time. So I swap some stuff out. everything that moved around was as a result of things in my hand. I basically, what I do is I set like a one card that I know is going to be in the front, and then I roll through it, and that's how I know I used up all the different combos. Try to set all the ones that don't deal damage, that just take away the defense tokens, set those to the front, and then by the time I get to the back of what's in my hand, I'll be ready for dealing the damage, and put the movement stuff all the way to the back, since that's where I'll be using it. Okay, and then it looks like I'm going to play a card, so I can do another set of damage. Okay. All right, then we got a crit, so 3 already. And another crit, so 4 damage. And total 5 damage. So that 5 total damage also is going to generate some stuff. And that 5 is going to go directly to the boss, and I'll put away everything else. So I'm at, I think, 26 damage. It's quite a bit. We're getting there. Alright, end of turn. Ignacio just unexhausted. Now it's the boss's turn. And he will attack. Then he will recover 1 defense token, and then he will retreat. And then he's going to try to unload. Okay, so that's for his defense token. Then he's going to reload. And what's the next step? Then there's nothing really left again but to draw a stage card. He is, what are we doing? Yeah, just talking back and forth. Yeah, there's nothing left going on. So when I stop waving my hand, I will use it to pick up a stage card. There it is. And that does basically nothing because there's no inactive objectives or active objectives of any kind. So we're just going to go to the next step. If you wanted, to make your life more difficult, you can just burn through stage cards until you hit an objective. That's up to you. And let's just continue with Ying Hua. You do not have to use the same fighter over and over and over again first. It just worked out that because Brandon was dealing so much more damage, I wanted to be able to have all of the threat cards out at a time in case he had to run over and try to take somebody down. So Lucille is not entirely mobile. I don't really worry so much about her. In the early game, you got to get rid of her so that she doesn't pile on more and more tokens for other people, especially when you have rivals out and other stuff like that. But right now, this stage, late in the game, you just want to pound the boss as much as possible, get through whatever defense that they have, and just keep pecking away at whatever you can do. So I'm going to move my guys as far away from Lucille as possible, get engaged with as many people as possible, so that when I'm using right to remain silent, like I am there with Lucille's, I have the greatest amount of flexibility with doing them damage. So that gets rid of 1 because it was general damage, and I was engaged with the boss. It says engaged enemy. I'm going to do it again and again. So let's do some flipping. I only flipped one. Flip more. What am I doing? Alright. So Lucille. Oh no. I finally remembered to put the tokens back on Ignacio. That's what happened there. I told you I was going to remember, and then Jin would have made his move to get rid of them. So basically, it was a moot point. Yeah, then we flipped. Finally, there was an Ignacio. So we'll see how many there are of him. There's a couple. And I'm going to use that to damage the blue Ignacio, I think. Maybe. No, it's better off on the boss. Get through it as quickly as possible. So that puts 2 10s and a 5. Becomes 25. So now we're at total 26. I know how much we have now. There's 10 health left. And then the last one got rid of the double barrel. And now, I mean, I could exhaust a few more things. I could try to play some cards and do regular attacks. So you end up doing so much stuff with the tactic cards at a certain point, you forget to do your regular attacks. That can happen pretty frequently. And if you want to put down a coin or a token that you flip back and forth that will help you remember what you used, a paperclip that you slide down your turn card, you can do all that. Then we're going to do something called the No Shadow Kick. And this one's really important because you have to read it. It says attack up to 3 times. Before each attack, you may exhaust 1 card you control to gain +1. So that means you can get up to 6 die. And you can see I'm stacking them up. I've got crits, I've got all kinds of stuff going on, and I'm exhausting left and right. So we're almost at the end. Things got a little crazy at this point. I got a little nuts. I said to myself, we are almost to 30. I'm going to try to wipe out this guy in the next 2 moves. And I almost didn't make it. Almost don't make it. You'll see why in a second. So pull all that stuff off and trade them in. That No Shadow Kick did quite a bit of damage. Now we are at 31 out of 36. And we're going to use a hunch in order to do the next attack. She's kind of like Chun-Li in the sense that she does a lot of kick attacks. And she's Chinese. But she's a cop, so she's not Chun-Li. And so that one is done with the No Shadow Kick. And I think we just have to go through our react phase. So, oh no, sorry, we had one more regular attack for 2 damage. And at this point, I think we're at 34. 2 damage left. It's it would be awesome. Yeah, and as part of the regular attack, you discard 1 final card. So now we have to do Lucille and Ignacio. It's at this point I was so tired, and I'm even more tired now. But it was pointless to try to go through their next steps because really the only thing that actually mattered is Brendan's last attack. So I'll move her up just to move her up because that's where she would have gone. There's no damage or anything that would have happened. There is a random defense token that she gives to the boss, I believe. And we flip and on alert. Oh no, so it's going to make it more difficult for us to get close to the boss, because if we move anywhere near him, he's going to run away. So I had to be very, very careful with my selection of attacks and cards that I wanted to use. Of course, the first thing I wanted to do was to maybe hit him at range. And if I could pull that off, then maybe I'd be okay. So yeah, if you look at move, then there's also things where you're not necessarily moving. You could just be placed in certain spots. That's why I was looking at flip kick. But that one definitely says a move, and I didn't want to do that. Instead, I can hit with Dragon Teeth and basically do a ranged attack and then move. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. I move to make him retreat. That pushes him back. On alert goes through, and I think he's going to fire at me. But it goes away because it gets used up. He's going to gain some defense tokens, which makes my job a little harder. And I think he unloads also. Yeah, so all those get taken up by an unload action. Shot in the face with a shotgun. And he's got another one to go too. But I had these smoke bombs that allow me to move close to him again for free. So, you know, that part was fine. Then I just have to throw 4 dice into the cup, and I hit for 2, which should be enough at that point. Took 1 out and did 1 damage, and then I searched through, and I happen to have one that does 2 direct damage, which is more than enough at this point to bring me to 36, especially after using those Viper Jabs to remove the last 2 tokens. He did. Congratulations, us. Solved everything. There was a couple things, you know, maybe we didn't get perfect, but it wasn't the end of the world. Don't let it be the end of the world for you. This is the end of the series I'm doing on this channel, though. So the next series will happen after I get my Aftershock stuff. I want to be consistent with everybody, since everybody who's buying at retail is going to have cards that are different than the first Kickstarter. They've been fixed for certain errata, and I don't want anyone to get confused with the older cards, so I'm putting everything onto a newer channel. Also, I don't want people to get spammed by all my Street Master stuff if they're not interested in that game and they just show up for my Kickstarter reviews, which I do every week. I do like 30 to 40 campaigns or more a week, and I don't want Street Masters people to get spammed by that. So if you're interested, you can come back, support the channel. You can subscribe to me always. I've got a playlist for all the original Kickstarter stuff, Brook City, whatever, and I'll have links to the new channel when it goes up, so you can jump in and watch stuff there as well. And otherwise, I'm just gonna wave my arms around and say have a good one. You guys take it easy.